When she comes back, everything inside you will want to react. Your heart remembers her warmth. Your mind replays every memory. And for a moment, you feel that familiar pull, that illusion that maybe this time it will be different. But here's the truth. Most men never see. The moment she comes back is not a reunion, it's a test. A silent test of whether you've really changed or if you're still the same man she walked away from. She's not coming back because she suddenly realized your worth. Not yet. She's coming back because your absence forced her to face her own emotions, and now she wants to know if the power she once had over you still exists. That's why your reaction in this moment defines everything. If you rush in with excitement, if you reply instantly, if you try to pick up where things left off, she'll know you never evolved. But if your energy is calm, detached, grounded, she'll feel something she didn't expect. Uncertainty. Uncertainty is attraction reborn. When she can't read you, she starts to chase understanding, and that's when control shifts, not through manipulation, but through presence. The man who no longer seeks validation becomes the man she can't ignore, because now she's facing a version of you that doesn't need her, but could choose her. And that's the most magnetic form of power a man can hold. So when she comes back, don't see it as a victory. See it as an opportunity, not to prove your worth to her, but to prove your growth to yourself. Don't ask what she wants. Watch what she does. Don't explain where you've been. Let your silence speak for you. When you stop chasing, she starts remembering. When you stay calm, she starts feeling. And when you remain grounded while she tries to pull you back into the old cycle, you finally break it. Not by resisting her, but by mastering yourself. Because the real control isn't about making her stay, it's about showing that you could let her go again without breaking this time. That's what makes her respect you. That's what makes her stay. Before we start, a quick reminder. The real transformation doesn't happen on YouTube. It happens inside the community. If these videos have opened your eyes, what's inside will rebuild your mindset completely. It's not just a course, it's a brotherhood, a private space where men master attraction, emotional control, and the psychology of power. You don't join for a month, you join for life. Every future course, book, and lesson is yours forever. No subscriptions, no limits, just one decision that changes your direction. If you're serious about growth, discipline, and purpose, click the link below. Join the community. Enroll once, grow forever. Let's dive in. Section 1. Why women come back when you finally move on. The moment you finally stop thinking about her, she feels it. Even if you haven't spoken in months, that's the paradox of attraction. Most men never understand. Women sense emotional detachment like a radar. When your energy no longer revolves around her, something inside her starts to panic. Not because she lost you physically, but because she lost her reflection in you. For so long, she fed on your attention, your texts, your eagerness, your emotional investment. Every message you sent told her that she still mattered. But when you pulled back, when your focus shifted to your goals, your discipline, your peace, she felt an emptiness she couldn't explain. The validation she once got from your energy was gone, and now she's forced to face herself without your mirror. That's when she starts to come back. Women return when they feel the loss of emotional power. It's not always love that brings them back. It's curiosity, nostalgia, ego, or even confusion. She wonders why you're suddenly calm, why you stop chasing, why your silence feels heavier than her words. The human mind craves closure, but the female mind in particular craves certainty of emotional influence when she loses that certainty. She reaches out to test the connection, but here's where most men fail. They think her return means she's changed. They confuse her curiosity for commitment. They rush in believing this is the moment love redeems itself. And in that instant, they give back all the power they built during no contact. You see, moving on doesn't mean pretending you don't care. It means becoming the man who doesn't need to be chosen to feel valuable. When you embody that energy, her return no longer shakes your foundation. It confirms it because she's not coming back to rescue the relationship. She's coming back to understand the new you, the man who isn't waiting, the man who looks like peace, feels better than chaos. And that realization creates a conflict inside her. The same conflict that made her leave now makes her drawn to you again. She's torn between the comfort of the old and the mystery of the new. That's the psychological loop that keeps her thinking about you long after she thought she was done. So when she reappears, remember this. Her return is proof that your silence worked. Your detachment became attraction. Your peace became power. Don't rush to explain or reopen the past. Simply exist in that calm confidence that made her come back in the first place. Because when you finally move on, you don't chase women. You attract their curiosity, their respect, and their regret. Section 2. How to respond. When she reaches out without losing control. When she finally reaches out, you'll feel that spark again, that rush of energy that once made you lose yourself. It's the text you used to pray for, the message that makes your heart beat faster. But here's the test. Your reaction in those few seconds will either rebuild your power or hand it all back. Most men fail right here. Not because they say the wrong words, but because they speak from emotion instead of presence. When a woman breaks silence, she's not always looking to reconcile. Often she's testing the waters. She wants to know, are you still emotionally available to her? Do you still need her validation? Or have you become the man who finally learned peace without her? Your response or even your delay tells her the truth faster than any sentence you could write. That's why control doesn't begin with words. It begins with restraint. Don't rush to reply. Don't overanalyze her tone. Don't fill the silence with paragraphs trying to sound unaffected. Detachment isn't performance, it's energy. When she sends a hey or a casual how have you been, understand that her intention is hidden behind simplicity. She's not asking how you are. She's asking if you've moved on. And the calmest way to answer that question is with time, not talk. Wait. Let her message breathe. Let her sit with her own curiosity. When you eventually reply, do it with intention. Short, grounded, emotionally neutral. Your tone should say, I'm good. Life's been great. That sentence, when said without effort, hits harder than 1,000 explanations because it shows evolution. It communicates that her absence didn't destroy you, it refined you. What she'll feel next isn't rejection, it's tension, a mix of admiration and confusion. She'll start wondering how you became this composed, how you detached so deeply without bitterness. And that internal question is what reignites attraction. She's not drawn to the man who wants her back. She's drawn to the man who learned how to live without her. Remember, you don't regain control by proving that you've changed. You show it by how unbothered you remain. Every word, every pause, every choice not to react emotionally becomes a statement of silent strength. Women are not drawn to chaos. They're drawn to the mystery that comes from a man who's mastered it. So when she reaches out, do not fall back into old patterns. Respond like a man who respects his peace more than attention. Because the truth is, once you stop reacting, she starts reflecting. Once you stop chasing, she starts remembering. And in that moment of calm control, you've already won. Not her heart yet, but something more powerful, her respect. Section 3. The Psychology of Silence. After she returns, silence is not emptiness, it's pressure. When she comes back and you remain composed, saying less than you used to, she begins to feel that weight, the weight of your emotional evolution. In the past, your silence was weakness. It came from fear, from confusion, from wanting her attention. But now, your silence carries a new meaning. It comes from control, from understanding, from the awareness that not every word deserves to be spoken and not every emotion deserves to be shared. Women are emotional readers. They interpret tone, rhythm, energy, not just words. So when you speak less, but your energy feels calm and full, she feels a strange discomfort because your silence no longer chases. It mirrors. It shows her the distance she created and the maturity you found within it. And that right there triggers reflection. She begins to question, did I lose him for good? You see, silence works because it shifts the focus inward. It forces her to replay your absence in her mind. Every message she doesn't get, every call you don't make, every confession you don't offer becomes an echo of her own decision. And that echo turns into curiosity, then longing, then realization. This is the invisible psychology, behind why distance draws her closer. It's not manipulation. It's emotional equilibrium being restored. The man who talks too much after she returns is still trying to prove his worth. The man who stays, silent but attentive, sends a message that words could never deliver. I no longer need to be understood to feel certain. That calm certainty drives her wild because it represents everything she couldn't control before. In her world, emotions are movement. She feels, she reacts, she speaks. But when you become still, you become unpredictable. She can't predict what you'll do next, and that mystery reawakens her attraction. It's not about ignoring her to seem strong. It's about letting the energy of self-respect do the talking. So don't rush to fill the silence. Don't explain what you've been through, and don't demand closure. She's already feeling it. Your silence is saying, I've already closed the chapter. Now it's on you to see if you're ready to open a new one. And that energy, quiet, controlled, unshakable, creates gravity. Because true power isn't found in what you say to her. It's found in what you no longer need to say. Your silence becomes her mirror. Your calm becomes her chaos. And your detachment becomes her desire. Section 4. What makes her respect you again? Respect doesn't return when she comes back. It returns when she realizes you don't need her to. That's the paradox. Most men think they'll earn a woman's respect by showing her they're still loyal, still caring, still available. But what actually reignites her respect is when she sees that you've detached from needing her approval completely. Because for a woman, respect isn't born out of comfort. It's born out of contrast. When you were emotionally dependent on her, she felt safe but uninspired. When you became detached, she felt uncertain but intrigued. That uncertainty is where respect begins to rebuild. It's not that she suddenly admires your silence, it's that she feels the weight of it. She feels the shift from a man who once reacted to a man who now observes. And that shift triggers something primal. Because now you're no longer trying to please her emotions, you're grounded in your own. What makes her respect you again is when she feels your boundaries without you needing to explain them. When you no longer entertain half-efforts, vague interest, or emotional games. When your tone is steady, your response is measured, and your energy centered. Women may not consciously say it, but they sense when a man has recalibrated his priorities, when peace has become more valuable to him than validation. That's when she begins to look up to you again, not as the man she could manipulate, but as the man she could trust. True respect grows in the soil of self-control. It's not about dominance. It's about discipline. It's about how you carry yourself when you could lose control but choose not to. When you could argue but remain calm. When you could explain but remain silent. That level of restraint feels rare, and rarity demands respect. The more she realizes that your world no longer revolves around her, the more she feels drawn into your orbit. Because women don't respect availability, they respect direction. They respect a man who's walking a path so strong that she must align herself to it, not the other way around. You can't demand respect, you embody it. You can't lecture her into valuing you. You show it by how you value yourself. And the beauty of it is this: when respect returns, attraction quietly follows behind. She may not even understand why she feels it, but she'll start softening her tone, listening more carefully, watching what she says. That's the silent language of renewed admiration. Because the man who no longer fears losing her becomes the man she's afraid to lose. Section 5. How to keep the power dynamic balanced. Power in a relationship isn't about control over her. It's about control over yourself. The balance begins the moment you stop trying to lead through emotion and start leading through composure. Because when you react to everything she does, you give her the power to dictate your mood. But when you remain calm, regardless of her behavior, she begins to follow your emotional rhythm, not the other way around. Most men don't lose power because they're weak. They lose it because they overinvest emotionally. They make every conversation about reassurance, every silence about fear, every disagreement about validation, and without realizing it, they hand over their emotional center to the woman they're trying to attract. The Stoic man does the opposite. He listens more than he speaks. He observes before he decides, And because his peace isn't up for negotiation, the woman feels something she hasn't felt in a long time: safety in his strength. The balance is maintained by presence, not pressure. You don't need to chase to lead. You don't need to dominate to influence. You simply need to stay anchored in your principles, no matter how emotionally charged the moment becomes. When she's emotional, you remain steady. When she withdraws, you stay patient. When she tests you, you don't react, you respond. This consistency builds trust and authority in her mind. She realizes she can't shake you, and that realization makes her lean closer, not out of fear, but out of fascination. Keeping the power dynamic balanced also means knowing when to step back. There's strength in space. The moment you sense her pulling away emotionally, don't chase to close the gap. Let her feel it. Let her notice that you're not forcing connection. In that quiet distance, she rediscovers your value because you didn't try to prove it. And remember, balance doesn't mean indifference. You can be kind without being weak, warm without being desperate, and available without being predictable. It's about living from intention, not reaction. Every decision you make, what you say, when you speak, what you give your energy to should come from your internal compass, not her emotions. That's how you stay unshakable. When you master this balance, she stops testing and starts trusting. She stops leading through emotion and starts following your example. Because deep down, every woman craves a man who can remain calm in her storm, not because he's cold, but because he's centered. So, don't play games. Don't chase control. Simply live in alignment with your peace, because the man who doesn't need to prove his power becomes the one who naturally holds it. Section 6. How to rebuild connection without losing frame. Rebuilding connection doesn't mean rebuilding the past. It means creating a new rhythm that revolves around mutual respect, not emotional dependency. Most men ruin their progress the moment she comes back because they start acting from excitement instead of composure. They think that reconnecting means becoming the man she once liked. But she didn't return for the old version of you. She came back because of the new one. The key is to connect without collapsing your frame. That means you stay warm but detached, kind but grounded, interested but not invested. You give her your time, not your power. You share moments, not validation. Every time she feels your energy, she should sense that your peace doesn't depend on her presence. That's what keeps her drawn in. The realization that she's now earning what she once took for granted. When you rebuild the connection, let action speak louder than emotion. You don't need to tell her you've changed. Let her experience it. Let her see that your priorities have shifted, that you still care, but you no longer chase, that you listen deeply, but respond selectively. This subtle change transforms the dynamic because she begins to associate your calm energy with emotional safety. And that's when she starts investing again. Avoid over-explaining your silence or your detachment. You owe no justification for your peace. If she brings up the past, listen without emotional reaction. Acknowledge it, but don't dive into it. The new chapter doesn't need to repeat the old script. Keep your focus on what is, not what was. That composure teaches her something powerful, that you're not a man who holds grudges, but you also don't hand out access carelessly. Reconnection happens naturally when your presence speaks louder than your attachment, when you lead with purpose, not persuasion, when you show interest without expectation, because deep down, women don't want to control a man's emotions, they want to trust them. And the moment she feels that your calm is real, not performative, she begins to open up again, this time with sincerity. The goal isn't to rebuild what was lost, it's to let her discover that being close to you now feels different, more peaceful, more mature, more stable. You are no longer the man who needs reassurance. You've become the man who gives direction. That's how connection deepens without breaking your frame, not through effort, but through presence, not through chasing, but through being. Because when you master your emotions, you master the energy of the entire interaction, and she can feel it. Rebuilding connection, then, is not about talking your way back in. It's about becoming the man she never thought you'd become and letting her earn her way back to you. Section 7. The final stage. when to let her back in and when to walk away. There will come a moment when she stops testing and starts showing sincerity. Her tone softens. Her eyes linger longer. Her energy shifts from curiosity to vulnerability. That's when you'll feel the pull again, the temptation to fall back into what once was. But before you open that door, you must ask yourself one question. Is she coming back to grow with you or to, feel safe from her own uncertainty? Because not every return is redemption. Sometimes she comes back because she misses the attention. Sometimes because her rebound failed. Sometimes because she feels your energy moving on without her. But true reconciliation, the kind that lasts, only happens when she returns out of genuine respect, not emotional comfort. You'll know the difference, not by what she says, but by what she sustains. Words are easy. Consistency is rare. When she comes back with real intent, her energy won't feel chaotic. She'll listen more. She'll match your effort. She'll respect your space instead of testing it. That's when you can slowly let her back in. Not all at once, but step by step, observing actions over time. The Stoic man never rushes the process. He lets truth reveal itself through patience. But if you sense confusion, inconsistency, or the same emotional patterns as before, that's your cue to walk away silently, gracefully, without explanation. Because the highest form of control isn't keeping her, it's knowing you could have her and still choosing peace instead. Letting her back in should never be about nostalgia. It should be about alignment. Are you both moving in the same direction? Are you both growing? Or is she trying to revisit a version of you that no longer exists? If she can't meet you where you are now, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, you must protect your evolution, even if it means walking away. Because the man who walks away from what no longer aligns with his peace doesn't lose anything. He gains clarity. And clarity is the final stage of power. It's when you no longer need to prove your worth or convince her of your value. You simply stand in it. And from that place, love is no longer a battlefield. It becomes a choice, one made by equals, not emotional opponents. So when she comes back, remember the goal isn't to win her over, it's to stay in control of your story. Whether she stays or leaves again, you remain the same, composed, grounded, and free. Because real strength isn't about holding on. It's about knowing when to let go and still walk away with peace. At the end of it all, she will remember one thing. Not what you said, not what you gave, not how hard you tried, but how peaceful you became after she left. That peace, that silence, that calm certainty. It's the mark of a man who has outgrown the version of himself that once begged to be understood. You see, control isn't about dominance or manipulation. It's about emotional sovereignty. It's the ability to remain unmoved by what once shook you to your core. It's standing in your truth when everything in you wants to chase closure. It's learning that love can exist without attachment and care can exist without control. When she comes back, she's not looking for the man she once knew. She's testing to see if the new man is real. And when she feels that calm confidence, that quiet certainty in your tone, she'll realize something she didn't expect. She can't control what no longer seeks her approval. That's when the tables turn. That's when your silence becomes louder than every word she ignored before. So remember this, the real victory isn't making her come back. It's staying centered when she does, because any man can attract her again, but only a grounded man can keep his power in the process. You don't need to prove that you've changed. You simply need to live like peace is your standard, not your prize. Because in the end, the man who can walk away twice is the one she can never forget. Remember, knowledge means nothing without action. If you're ready to rise above emotion and lead with purpose, join the community today at thestoiccouple.podia.com. Enroll once, grow forever.